My name's Colm Clarke. I'm living here for most of all my life, except for 10 years that I was in England and Scotland. So I've been living down in Monreagh for 9 years, and then I went to Castlethorpe, and I was going to that school there for 3.5 years till the new school was built down in CARRIGANS. And we were all more or less bred up in a kind of way, a broad way of speaking. We all got this kind of like Ulster Scots, but we never paid any attention to it. We just spoke the same all the time. We never paid any attention to Ulster Scots or anything else. We didn't even know it was an Ulster. Anyway, I'll say it that way. Anyway, that's what we're, and as everybody that we were on the bit with was the same. And if you were gone out anywhere, you went out to the town, or you went to dances, and you were gone to up, or even hill climbing. You would go up the hill on a Sunday, and to come to this at the autumn time of the year, you'd been looking for mulberries, and up gathering mulberries up on the hill. That we used to do that as well, groups of us. And another one we done was a couple of fellows along with me, along with us. We done ferreting and hunting for rabbits at 1 6 a head. We took them into a man down in Newton called Johnny Work, and lamped them at night as well. We lamped them at night as well. And other than that, I mean, we had good fun here. And then when we were wee, and we played cowboys and Indians as well. We did. And there were no such thing as TVs then. The TVs didn't come into mid 50s or so. So we all had the crack at the house as well. And when we were working, we were thinning turnips. We gathered turnips, and we spread lint, pulled lint as well as spread it. And we brought the shoes up out of the mill when we come home for the school in the evening. Went to the mill for the shoes, for the firing. And then maybe on the come to a Saturday, we had to get the barrel filled with water, and we had to go to the burn and down to the burn and got the water and bring it up to fill the barrel for the water washing on Monday morning, and things like that. That's the way things were all done then. I went to school here for 3.5 years, and I've made some good friends. And all the people who run about now I'd been working with here, we all went to school, and we all went up, grew up together. And we all in the evening times, you would have been maybe someone's house playing about. A lot of people played in the 5 bands. You'd been going to listen to them playing, practicing and stuff like that. One man would have played up in the hill up here. He would have played in the springtime, and they're nothing nice as pipes playing it in the open air in the springtime. There's noise coming, sound coming all over. It was beautiful. Even down here, man, you would hear them from up there, a mile up the road or more. Oh, yeah, there's a man that was working up on TOUGHBOYNE in the stone quarry at that stage, the council quarry over just at TOUGHBOYNE across. He had bought himself way back in the 1920s. He bought himself a new bicycle, and she was a solid tired one way back in the 1920s. And he come with him one evening for his work. The tire broke, and all I got for he come through cross was a boo, betwixt the twa shoulders they landed in CHURCHTOWN. And that was his session for the day. So he had to go and look for a new tyre for his bicycle, which was a bit hard to get at that stage, where solid tyres were only coming on at that time. So that's about all I can tell you about him. It's not a turnip anyway, it's whatever it looks. I thought maybe it was Morris stem as well, but no, it could be. When it goes, I mean, the Morris stem will go up there with this height. So. That crop on here was was barley that was sown earlier in the year, or winter barley rather, and then when it's come to be near being ripe, they whole cropped it. So they've sown now. To me, it looks like if it's a plant called Monreagh stem. I don't know if there are any families who grow it now, but it used to be the whole go for milking cows, for people that had, for all farmers that had milking cows and stuff like that. So I mean that is a wet handling to work with that. Monreagh stems. You had to have a bill hook, and a wet day out cutting that, and the water running off it. So you'd have been soaked to the skin when you're finished. You know what I mean? Delivering a message to old Mr. Stewart up in Monreagh.
Aye.
And he says to me, he says, and a terrible thing to you, he says, you know, see the man above, nobody has any belief in him.
Aye.
But he has the last say.
Aye.
And I says, well, as far as I agree with you in that line.
Aye.
Right, he says, I'll just do you an example now. Now they had roughly all these big fancy tractors.
Aye.
How many weeks are they getting to sow their crops? You get, if you get 5 days, that's a hit at.
Aye.
That's the most you get. And he says, when we had the horses, he says, you get 3 weeks.
That's right.
Working your crops. And he says now, he says when it comes to harvest time, you have no weather either. You have another 5 days and that's it. All these big machinery, he says, that's what.
How many acres did one of them tractors plough in an hour?
Oh sure, that, and in there, sure, I spread 11 acres in 10 minutes.
Aye. Well, the horse would have ploughed an acre an hour, or an acre a day, I should say. And the tractors would do 20 times that. And they're still not able to get the crops in on it.
No, but that's what I mean. He's the last say, he says. He has the last say. Everything is a man above.
No, but you know,
I'm not preaching. I'm not.
Do you know who's paying the last say this time? Tom with that bloody camera.
There's the cornmill here, DORAN'S cornmill here, and that is all going full stint there up until the mid-60s. And there's a big water wheeler in the back. I would say it's the largest in this country. And then that there was the bagging shed, or the bagging store, and that is the store there where they kept everything. And everything was working. We worked on belts by cups on them, and it would roll them through the mill. And the working on the whole was in at the back end, down at the bottom, and all it was worked by a water wheel. So it was, and that was a drying. Across there was a drying for the oats. Put it in the steel floor, and there was small holes in it, and the heat came up through the floor and dried the corn, and then it was down onto the bottom, then across into that shed there and down on, and it was used as for going on down to the crusher, and then went back up the stairs and up onto the bagging machine up in there, and that was all bagged there, and then it was brought in and put into stores, and there's a few stores in along the side and the bottom. And then that's a driveway down into it, but it's covered up now with weeds. But that was all going very strong on up to mid-60s, maybe 70s. Well, I was away for 10 years, so 60s to 70s. So I don't mind it going then, Well, you're in this area. This is Ulster Upper, and then there's part that farther over. Well, Ulster Upper comes this far anyway, and then it's I think William Brogan that comes under Tubber. I'm not sure, but I know there's Ulster Upper here on it, up farther up, and then right on down on there's Ulster Lower, where you see them houses in the tree. That's still Ulster Upper, but that whole area you can see right onto the border of Calais. Back in the 40s, early 40s and the 30s, back there was a quarry back there, a stone quarry, and it was run by the council. And there was a man working on it. There was a couple of, the ganger that was there was a bit, a man named Barney McGee was a ganger. But it gave them tight one day, and so the fellow that was filling the breaker, he says to one of the fellows, he says, you didn't see any blue stones when you run? Oh God, he says, I can pull the burr for you. That's dead on, he says. Bring him back in 10 minutes. Bring him up in 10 minutes time. He says, we might have a tea break. And he brought them up and he put on the bluestones. And the bluestones are that hard then that she just took belts and everything flying. She just let the one crank shoot her and she just belts and everything went flying. So he said, now we'll get a break. He said, when my grandfather lived over there, it was the Land Commission when they took it over in way back in 1940s. That field there was divided into three. Each of them got 3 acres on it. The two houses here, the house that was beside my grandfather's and the one at my grandfather's, and they got 3 acres each, and whatever ground was behind them. So then further down here, this house down here at the bottom, then you got all that bottom part of the ground there, and then another farmer down on there, they got 3 acres as well. So that big dam over there, there's a big dam over there in the back on there, and that done the big corn mill that was down on there was worked by a turbine. That was driven by a turbine. So it was, and that was belonging to Rankins. And you take, there's John Brogan, Mandy Boyce, Charlie Duddy, Charlie Coyle, John Boyce. That's 5 people. They got 45 acres in the just early 50s. In 52, 53, they got 45 acres. So you can put that into 5 and then you have all them odds and ends of acres then. So 5 5s is what? 5 5s is 25, 5 4s is 20 and 2 is 24. 245 acres. And then you had all the acid shoots. You had nearly, between small pieces and bits and pieces of ground, you had over nearly almost 300 acres here belonged to that estate down there, belonged to Dr. Rankin. You know, well, it wasn't Dr. Rankin, he was Rankin's the name, but Dr. Rankin lived in Newton Cunningham, but I think it's the same, he was a brother of the man that owned it. This is the grave here of the Reverend William Boyd, who took a lot of people from this area in the 1800s to America. And whenever in America, he come back in and he come back here and he worked as a clergyman in Monreagh, and he died here on the 21st of June 1764. And that's his tombstone here. This is the oldest marked grave here in the graveyard in TAUGHBOYNE here, and it's all in Latin, but there was a historian in the visiting Monreagh Heritage Centre, and we discovered in an old book that the trade is a cutter, and the cutter is a shoemaker, and way back in the 1600s. And the stuff they were using was Malaysian rubber from a bark of a tree in Malaysia, and they made it into boots. And they cut the boot, put your foot on the boot and cut it, and that's what it's called, the cutter. That's how you got the name cutter. I wouldn't like to think this is going to be in a couple of years' time or another year. Maybe I'll be lying kicking the bucket. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe down below and hit the like button